go on here.
Okay.
Press a few more buttons.
Streaming live on Facebook, it says.
Yes. Now, it's hard for us old girls to know how to do all this stuff in the right order. Okay. Hey everyone, we are here with two of literally my favorite people in the world. Believe it or not. I know maybe you ladies don't believe this, but I really am super excited. This is something since the day I started doing working with Rising Above, working with moms, like I dreamed of sharing all of your goodness with all of my people because you really have inspired me in a lot of ways. So I won't cry though.
We love you.
I love you too. So I want to introduce you to Jan Henderson and Alice Ann Holman, two ladies who are the same as all of us. We are moms who've lost a child, but we are just so much more. And I love what you guys have done to honor your children. My belief is that, the way I got better, what I remember, how I finally started feeling better was telling my story, having a lot of gratitude for what I did have left in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to do things in Nick's memory, like specifically. And so you guys are like the perfect picture of doing all of those things. So I wonder if you would be willing to share your story with me and with us. Either one can go first. I was trying to figure out alphabetical order, but it depends if we go first or last name.
Oh, yeah.
Take a pick.
Allison, what do you think? It doesn't matter to me.
You go first.
Okay. And I go by Jan James now.
Oh, sorry.
So,
sorry,
okay.
Jan. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's what comes up
Facebook
on Facebook.
names.
I met Alice Ann many, many years ago. I taught next door in middle school to her husband for, we figured, 20 years.
Yeah.
So I met Alice Ann through him, and I'd see Cole every day and see Alice Ann sometimes. And now I see Alice Ann all the time and see Cole sometimes. I met Karen and at Zumba class at the Y. She was my instructor. And we had a connection a lot further back than that, but we didn't know each other then. And it was when I saw helicopters flying near our neighborhood and heard the news, and we were praying for her family during that time. So she's just been a huge blessing in my life. Alice Ann's been a huge blessing in my life. All right, let me just share a little bit about my story. And my story is no more special than anybody's story because our children are so precious to each of us. Back in 1998, it's been a long time now, our 13-year-old son was diagnosed with leukemia. He missed that entire year of 8th grade. He went the first day of school and the last day of school, and then did homeschool the rest of the year and was in the hospital a lot all during that year. And he did well. Chemotherapy seemed to be ineffective, and he went on to high school and had a great time. It did extremely well. And then we found out the Monday after his senior prom that he had relapsed, and he passed away within a month of an infection. So even though, at the very beginning, you know that, there's a possibility of them not making through a terrible disease like that, but he was so far into that cure rate, that percentage, that, it hit us hard. I remember that those days, I described it as a black hole. Had lots of support that got me through. Alice Ann, thank you for, she and Cole and some other friends even came to the house during part of that time, maybe been when Brock was sick, and planted pansies in my front yard just to be cheerful. I mean, those are the kinds of things that people did that just were uplifting and just kind of kept me going. I remember times of, I really tried to keep it together. Alice Ann, I was thinking about today, I picture us as being in Karen two strong women. But when you have to deal with the passing of a child, it takes you to your knees. It literally just takes you down. And I remember giving myself called mini Brock meltdowns. And I would go to the bathroom and I would take a washcloth and I'd put it over my face and I would just bawl my heart out for 5 minutes. And then I'd say, okay, you've got to get it together. And I think part of it was control, that I was afraid that if I kept going, I would never come back up.
Right.
So I limited to these small times of just letting it all out and then trying my best, to just to deal with day by day. Let's get through this day. Let's get through this day. And later on, this was years afterwards, but it's gone back and it's really resonated with me that we heard, he was a counselor in our church. He was speaking and he was talking about because of the way we're made individually and the way that we're put together, that we may tend to grieve, some of us more in an emotional kinds of ways, that's our release. That's what helps us to heal. And some of us are going to be more of we analyze it and it's academic and we think it through. And Allison and I are both, after we learned this, we're very much on that academic, analyze it, think it through. And so when we work with our group, Heartstrings, which we'll tell you a little bit about, we have to be very cognizant that we're trying to address those who approach it in a more emotional way. Because that's just equally as important. It's just the way we're made. And I have a good friend in Charleston who works with a grief group. She's very much on the emotional side, and she reminds me, Jan, you've got to look at both pieces. Heartstrings started, I guess, 3 years after Brock passed away. We didn't have a group here in the area, and we wanted a faith-based group. We started with 2 people just sitting around my house, 2 good friends. They both lost sons in totally different kinds of ways. And we did a Bethmore Bible study because we didn't know what to do. We just knew we wanted to be together. And so we talked it through, and that was very helpful. And then the next, that was in the fall and the spring, unfortunately we added somebody else. And then it's just grown and grown and grown and grown. And sweet, sweet, sweet women. Karen's a huge part of our group. She speaks, she presents at our day retreats. And the notion just came to me, this idea to start a group, and I couldn't shake it off. It was like it was recurring. You've got to do this. And I'm going, no, I'm not equipped. I'm nobody special. I don't know all the things that we need to do. Didn't matter. Do it. You need to do it. And that was what Allison many, many years ago. And it's been a huge blessing for me because I've met some of the sweetest women ever.
I know I know exactly how you feel. And you've been a huge blessing to all those women as well. I'm sure there's so many people that wonder, how would I have gotten through if I hadn't have connected with you guys? So when I was going to ask you about the different types of dealing with grief, the analytical side and the emotional side. So is the analytical side the thing that was telling you, okay, you've got 5 minutes to do this?
Probably. Yeah, probably. But I didn't know what it was back then, because this was like, 10 years afterwards, Allison, that we kind of discussed
at
a
least.
long time. But it made such perfect sense to me. Mm-hmm. And the way that different people grieve differently. And it's, there's so many factors thrown in, but those 2, I think, are really important factors.
So when you're talking to the person that you recognize as dealing with it more emotionally, what are the do you say different things to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think you've got to acknowledge their feeling first, and they've got to get the feeling out and out there, because until they can give some, how when you shake a soda bottle and you shake it and shake it and shake it and shake it, if you just turn the valve, if you let your finger off in a hurry, it spews everywhere. Right. So our job is to kind of as the emotions shake, to give them an outlet to slowly release those emotions, so that unlike a shaken soda bottle that you just pop the top on, it doesn't spew everywhere. But if you don't deal with the emotion first, I don't think they can move forward.
And provide an outlet.
Mhm.
Like I know a group will like everything, all this is fine. I mean, there's no right or wrong or anything, but they may express like baking cupcakes and represent, to show the love that they have for their children, and celebrate everybody's birthday, you know, and that's an outlet for love and showing that. And it's so important, but that's something I might not think of so much because that's not my particular outlet, even though I can appreciate it. And if I were participating, I would grow from it.
Yes. Well, that's kind of what you do at some of your meetings. You kind of introduce people to different outlets and to different ways of dealing with it, different resources. And I just think that's always my message too, is just, you just got to keep like throwing spaghetti at the wall until something sticks. It's everybody is not going to be the same, but I'm sure that there is something for everyone if they
Yes.
just patiently seek. It's just sometimes they seek one thing and it's frustrating because you just want to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So Alice Ann, we didn't mean to like skip over.
That's all right. I'll get to my Bubba. Um, I, I've been in, just a little bit about me first. I've been in public education for 41 years. This is my fourth year in retirement. So after 41 years, I am now enjoying retirement. Um, I have two children. Mariana and her husband have my four precious grandchildren, and I know everybody thinks so, but my grandchildren are wonderful,
You are
and
wonderful.
they're a huge, huge help and blessing to us. Robert is our other child, and he's the one who waits for us in heaven. I brought a picture just so you could kind of see, just so
Oh,
you know who we were talking about. That's my
some
Robert.
kind of a good looking guy.
That's
Mm-hmm.
my buddy.
Very
Um,
cute.
he's an outdoor kid, always loved being outside. We used to have to make him come inside to eat and take a bath and go to sleep. He would have spent 24/7 outside if he could. Smart, clever, thought way faster than I did, which was not always good when I was trying to fuss at him. Um, Lots of fun, loved people, loved big groups of people because he would have lots of folks to talk to. He didn't care who he talked to. He'd talk to the CEO of the company, he'd talk to whoever was cleaning the bathroom, he'd talk to homeless street people. Uh, he'd give you the shirt off his back. One time, right after his birthday, he asked us for some money, and I'm going, Bubba, we gave you money for your birthday. What did you do with that? He had handed over every nickel that he had gotten for his birthday to a street person, to a homeless man, because he said, oh, mommy needs it more than I do. That was just Robert. Um, July the 4th, 2007 was when our family changed. Robert died in a car accident. It was sudden, it was unexpected, there was no way to prepare for it. And it felt like the world shifted and changed horribly and radically and permanently. And there were some really dark days and dark times. There still are. I can't say that we talk about a journey of healing, and it is definitely a journey. There's not an end point, I don't think. I think you move in cycles and you move in waves, and sometimes the waves move you forward, and sometimes the waves crash over you still. It's been 13 years for us, and it's better. It is better. But like Jan, I was afraid at first that if I went too far into the grief and the depths of the pain, that it would swallow me whole and I wouldn't come out the other side. When Robert first died, I didn't sleep at night. I don't mean I didn't sleep much, I mean, I did not sleep. I did not know that a human could go as long as it was for me without sleep. I, but the night would come and I'd be exhausted and could not sleep for a long, long time. And in those really dark hours and times, you get a lot of weird thoughts. In the middle of the night. And I found myself going often to scripture and would recite scripture or read the Bible or look up things. And one of the scriptures that just really helped and resonated with me was Micah 7, verses 7 and 8. And it says, "As for me, I will wait for the Lord. I will watch for the God of my salvation. Do not rejoice over me, O my enemy. Though I fall, I will rise. Though I dwell in darkness, the Lord is a light for me." And that's where I camped for a long time. Found heartstrings through Jan. There were maybe, I tried counting this afternoon. I think there were 5 ladies. We would sit on the furniture. We weren't even, we
On the
eventually
floor.
moved to sit
At
on the
least before
floor.
yet.
Yeah, there were too many of us to sit on the furniture anymore, and we took a piece of the floor. And now we've moved beyond that, even out of Jan's house and into another
Yeah, a long time ago.
facility. Yeah.
Yeah.
But heartstrings was huge for me, really, really big, because it gave me a place to talk to people who truly understand. I had a lot of friends who were good support and family support, but all they could say was, "I can't imagine how you feel. I can't imagine your pain." And they're right. They
Right.
couldn't.
Thank
I appreciate,
goodness.
yeah, thank goodness is right. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
glad. But coming to meet with other women who, even though they may be grieving differently or they may be in a different place on the journey, still in all, they understood. And that was huge. Like Jan, too, I have a connection to Karen, and I can't remember if I've ever told you this or not.
Hmm.
One of the jobs I had in the school system was school counselor. That was my last job. Spent about 26 years or so as a school counselor. And way in the beginning of those 26 years, your son Nicholas died. And that was the first time Greenville County had lost students since we had been counselors. And we were so green and so new at our jobs that everybody was trying to come alongside the counselors at your son's school to try to help and support them and figure out, how as a district and how as teachers and administrators and school counselors, how do we handle this? And I spent hours praying for your family and for his friends and all the people, because that was part of trying to figure out, how does your son's school respond to the death of your child, and what the pain that caused. It also led me into volunteering to work on the district crisis response team, all from Nicholas.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, I spent another 25 years going into school buildings and working with classes and administrators and teachers after the death of a faculty member or a student. But it started with your son.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is the one of the things that chokes me up the most, just thinking about the kids in the school. Because I was so wrapped up in my pain. And
Yes.
I did give them some, we went and visited the class once,
Mm-hmm.
but just thinking about them on a daily basis, being in there that Monday when they went back to school and there's a desk there, I mean, it breaks my heart. So I'm so moved that you did that. That can't be hard. You volunteer for something like that. I mean, it can't be easy. You volunteer for something like that, and wow, you're really opening yourself up to a lot.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
We always find, well, there's always a connection. Even when
Mm-hmm.
somebody comes from heartstrings from across town or something, given a little bit of time, we're going to find a connection somewhere within the group. And we just think that is just the neatest thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And that's what all of us, all of the moms need, is just any sort of a connection to make them feel like they're part of something again. Because when this happens, it's almost like you don't recognize yourself. You're not who you used to be. You don't fit in anywhere you used to fit in. So what you guys are doing. And so, I hope that everybody understands that, you have this ministry going on at Simpsonville First Baptist Church called Heartstrings, and that anyone in the Greenville area or surrounding areas, you have people coming to your day retreat from farther than that, right?
5 states. If there were supposed to be 5 states this year before we had to cancel due to COVID.
Yeah. If there's somebody who's local, we'd love to have you come to Heartstrings.
Just let them contact one of us and we'll get the information. It's kind of on a month by month how we're doing it right now, whether we feel like we need to Zoom or we're going to try to meet outside in the pavilion in September, and then we're going to take it from there.
I highly recommend it. And if you will click with someone there, you will definitely click with someone there. Yeah.
All ages.
And yet it's not just, I've been to some support groups that were pretty heavy, and it is a heavy topic, but I mean, I appreciate that you try to, it's not just all one thing at your meetings. Right. It's, you try to change it up so that there's time for the grieving part, but then there's also time for the looking forward part. Where can we go next?
Yeah, we don't really call ourselves a counseling group. From the very beginning, it's faith-based encouragement group.
Right.
I like that.
You've been there when we do art projects, we do conversation, we always have a devotion of some kind. We may have music. Just different things reach different people. And so you try to, it's got to be uplifting, and the connections have to be real for people to really get something out of it and want them to come back. Some people come for a season, life changes and they don't come. Some people have been coming from the very beginning because we like each other. We're just, we've just become friends now. And I can't wait till we can see each other in person again.
The hardest thing when we get back together again is going to be not hugging.
Yeah, we're kind of a huggy group.
Yeah.
And it's the South, so we were having good refreshments. Yeah, we were having good refreshments. We don't know how that's going to go in the months to come, but we'll see.
Yeah, Allison, you called it a journey.
Yes.
And I find myself saying the word journey so much. There's just nothing else to describe it, because I think sometimes when people enter into the journey, they think it's just the end. They think it's just the end. But it can be a beautiful journey if you can open yourself up to the idea that there is more to be done here.
I think you've hit something critical there. I think you've got to be open to the idea that there can be more than the crushing pain. At first, it felt like something was just sitting on me, pressing down, and all I could feel was the weight and the piercing pain. But being open to the idea that we're not called just to survive this, we're called to actually thrive again. I can't imagine Robert looking at me and going, "Mom, I want your whole life to just grind to a halt. I want you to stall out."
Right.
That would, he'd be saying, "Don't worry about me, I'm okay." I think we've got to be open, but you've got to be willing to be open to the idea that you can heal. It's not ever going to be the same. I found a picture not too long ago that was taken on June the 30th at a friend's wedding before Robert died on July the 4th. So just a couple days, just a few days before. And you can see that my face is different. Even now I look, it's across my eyes. There's an expression, an openness, and a I don't know, almost an innocence in my face in that June the 30th picture, that even now I still look at it and think, looks a little different, doesn't it? I don't think it'll ever go back to being the same, but that's not my goal. My goal in healing and in the journey is not to be just like I was. I'm not going to be, but I can be better.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to be the same.
Mm-mm.
Just wouldn't make sense.
I always thought that um, God doesn't bring us through something without wanting us to help somebody else
Yeah.
along the way, and if anything we've learned, all three of us, in that journey of a number of years, if we can share and help somebody avoid a pitfall we may have fallen into, or be encouraged, I just feel like that's something that is so important, and that's something we can all do for one another.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And honestly, it is a little bit selfish in that it feels really good to see that you have given somebody just a little bit of hope, even if it's just for 5 minutes that day. We know that there's going to be those waves where you go up and down, but it's nice to be there present when you helped someone get through a wave.
Mm-hmm.
I will say too that the waves now, even though they still crash over me sometimes, it's not as intense, and I don't go down as deep or stay as long as I did initially. If there's somebody who's in initial stages, I would really like to offer you that encouragement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep,
Well,
still crash.
one thing too is as time goes on, I feel like I have developed like kind of a little toolkit of the things that I know when I'm ready to come out of the pit, that I know what to do
Mm-hmm.
that helps me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's being with my kids, it's meditating, it's probably for you guys going back to scripture. I know that, your faith is what Heartstrings was built on. Did you always have a strong faith before? Is this just always been a part of your life?
Yes, I was raised in the church, and, I thought I did have a strong faith, but I was never angry at God, but I was so incredibly disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
People have prayed and prayed and prayed for him, and then, at the end, he did pass away. And Alice Ann's heard me say this before. I'd say to God, God, I still have faith. I do, but that's all I can give you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so through the seasons and through so many things I have seen have come to my life to encourage me and to support me along the way. It's built my faith back up to even being stronger.
Yes, I have a stronger faith than I did, because when you're at the point where you can't do anything, there's people say, oh, you're so strong, I could never survive that. Yeah, they're right, but I'm not that strong either. No, no, this is not about me. You don't get the kind of grace you need to survive losing a child until you've lost the child. And then God gives you that grace, and he gives you that strength to go on. Another thing that has really helped, and I think, Karen, you're going to relate to this, is getting out and being outside and getting some exercise. Oh my goodness. If I just go still and stay still and don't work out or don't walk or don't do some form of exercise, ooh, I go down fast. That is a huge emotional and physical outlet and a stress relief for me.
I agree. And sometimes I resist it so much because really, I've told the story many times that Zumba really was like a big change for me. It changed a lot of things for me, but I resist telling it because I don't want anyone to ever feel like, well, I'm not a workout person and I don't want to, I'll never be a workout person. So that doesn't apply to me. And so I always just want to say it's really it's not so much all about the working out or trying to lose weight or getting fit or anything like that. It's just the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to be doing something with other people, I think that's very helpful as well.
It's something you enjoy, something you get some fresh air and and we've heard like Diane Collard was one of our speakers, and she immersed herself in art and the
Yeah.
arts. She didn't have any prior, she had a love for it, but no real prior experience, and that's what lifted her up.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody may find what really helps them.
Right. I just wish I wouldn't have waited so long to try it, get out and do it, because I think I know that it's all in time. It's all in the right time. But, just for me, I look back and I think I probably could have been a happier person much sooner if I would have had the idea put in front of me, but.
We're glad you did that, because I love coming to your classes.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm not the typical fitness instructor, but I just love the people. And what I mostly love is the people in the back row that are there for the first time and they're so scared, and they're like, I can't do this. I'm not a good dancer. I'm not this, I'm not that. But I think, everybody finds just a break, just a disappearance from real life for an hour or 45 minutes or for whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, escape. Yeah. Well, I appreciate so much that you guys are here. So you normally do the day retreat every year in March, right?
March. We tentatively have set up March 20th, 2021.
Okay.
We'd like to hope that we're going to be able to get the women together at that point in time without having
so too.
Yeah.
It was awful having to cancel. We've got a great speaker this year coming from North Carolina, from the Charlotte area, Jan Harrison.
Yeah.
Her book is Life After the Storm.
So
And
good.
it's one of the best. It's one of the best I've read. It is excellent.
Me too.
If you come to the day retreat, you will be given a copy of the book. She's going to bring them with her. And I really think it's going to be good. It sounds like a terrible, just sad, depressing, dark day, but it's not.
No.
It's not. It really is a sweet, gentle, soft, lovely time.
Right. And it's, you've got a mixture of people at all different parts of the journey. And so the ones who are newer, you can see that, you can see their sensitivity and, just how on the edge of everything they are. But I think that just the courage that we all show just to walk into a building like that, knowing that you're going to be meeting up with a lot of people that have that story, but then finding out that those are friends, those are really your friends, and they're the ones that really understand. And yeah, it's been life-changing for me, honestly, life-changing. It's inspired me to do so much of what I'm doing now. I just love the idea of everyone getting a taste of a bunch of different things and finding, hopefully finding their thing and having a chance to share their story.
I think sometimes moms are afraid to come and meet with other people or to really share openly because they're sort of, maybe your child died of suicide or a drug overdose or an addiction of some sort or was murdered or, there's something that they feel like, I don't really want people to know that that's exactly how my child died. Doesn't make any difference how your child passed. We're all moms together, and everyone there has experienced the same sense of loss and pain. And there are other things that just don't matter. We're just moms together.
Yeah. And you can't really find that. And, it's not like you can just automatically be surrounded by a bunch of moms. That's just not how it works. You're surrounded by your family. And I think so many people are so disappointed by their family and their friends. And I try to, my thought on it is just, you can't teach them what it feels like. And it's a waste of your energy, really, to try to change them into understanding. Just need different types of support from different people, and those are the people that give you one kind of support. And then when you need to be around people that understand, you go to a support group, or you find a friend or a group of friends that fit that.
You know, even if we're not even talking about loss or grief, I mean, you know what I mean? To like, there's this overriding feeling of understanding, because you know everybody gets it. Everybody gets you, you know, even if it's unspoken during that particular time.
Very much so.
If one mom says, well, this is what I'm experiencing, did you have that? Did you go through that? The mom sitting on this side of you may say, no, it wasn't like that for me. And the one on this side says, oh, yeah, it was for me. You know, there's somebody there that says, oh, yes. Even if it's not common to everybody, you get support, which is lovely.
Yeah, it is really lovely. And it's not, you know, there's a tendency, like I find in some, like on Facebook, where these large groups of women that come together, and there's a lot of it never gets better type talk. And so I feel like when you're with a mixture of people that are all, you know, their foundation is, I don't know how it's going to get better, but I am open to it being able to be better.
Seeking it. I want it.
Yeah. Well, I just love you guys so much, and I thank you so much for doing this. I really believe that this is what a mom newer to the journey wants to hear. And what's newer, you know, that's another thing that we didn't really talk about, because I'm trying to always figure out, like, well, how far along are they? That's interesting how they're there, you know? And it's just, there is no predictable time. Everyone is so different. Some people can be open to the idea that they are not gonna let this close off their future the day after their child dies, you know, and then some people it takes years. But I feel like seeing people like you as an example, you know, because everybody resonates with a different thing, you know, and so I think if people see you as an example, it helps them to know, hey, they made it, I can do this.
We had some models along the way, and I remember looking at them going, they're up, they're dressed, they're going to work, they're smiling. If they can do that, please allow me to do that too. Right. So I think role models ahead are important.
Yes. Just to be among the people that are on different parts of it. Yeah. Okay, well, I thank you so very much for doing this. So it'll be posted in the group, and everybody can watch it later, since nobody joined us on Zoom. I don't know if they joined. I can't keep up with too many things at once, so they may be watching on Facebook. But if there's any questions that anybody has for any of you guys, like, hopefully it'll be all right for them to ask, and we can have you comment back. I appreciate it so much. Hang out here for 1 second, guys, and let me just end this. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It was amazing.